Okay, everyone, so we're going to start by just going over some basic things for SPSS. It should be review for most of you, but might be brand new, in which case you'll probably want to come and see me if after this you're still uncomfortable with this software. So this is the data that I uploaded to Griffin Gate. So if you open it, you're on one of two screens. You're either looking at something that looks like this, or you're looking at something that looks like this. Okay? So the difference between these two views is down here we have a data view. This looks just like Excel, so we have columns of variables and rows of data. And then over here we have rows of variables. Okay, so the variable view lists each variable by itself. So here's Q1, Q2, Q3, the Q3 text file, etc. And all of these correspond to different questions, and these are the questions that the participants answered. So question 1 asks them for their age. Okay? Question 2 asks them for their gender or their sex. They're either male or they're female. See, here you can see that the responses are either male or female. Okay? Down here, our responses are yes, no. Later on, we've got responses 0 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 or more, and I don't know. Okay? So the first thing to consider is the difference between a continuous variable and a discrete variable. And I did add a little note to the instruction page based on a lot of questions that I've had about this issue. So age, by definition, is a continuous variable. People range in terms of age from 0 to, upwards to, 100 years old. And so age represents a continuous variable. Gender, on the other hand, or sex, is discrete by definition. You're either male or you're female. Likewise, these ethnicity labels, you're either Caucasian, African American, etc. Okay, so the kinds of statistics that we use for each of these different kinds, continuous and discrete, matters. So for age, for example, we're going to just go ahead and do the first part of this, compute descriptive statistics for variables Q1, Q2, Q3, Q3 text, and Q13. Okay, and the only variable in this set that's continuous is age. So let's start with age. We're going to go up to analyze and then to descriptive statistics, ask for frequencies. Okay, let's go ahead and reset this. Now over here you should have a list of labels. Okay, if you want to switch this to variable names, like if you want to have Q1, Q2, Q3, etc., you have to kind of right click into this field and that little interaction box will come up and you want to select display variable names. Okay, from then I know that this variable is age, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that over. Okay, and then I'm going to just go ahead and select paste. And this brings up a syntax file. Okay, and this is just a record of what I have done. Okay, so there I've done the frequency question for age. Now let's do the rest of them. Descriptive statistics. Let me make sure I forgot to ask for the mean and the median and the mode and the standard deviation and the variance. So let's go back and do that. Okay. Okay. What I've done just there, because I don't want to go back and re-record this. Okay. I forgot to actually ask SPSS to compute the mean, median, mode, and standard deviation. So I went right back in there and I just did that. So again, to get this syntax, which provides you with the mean and standard deviation, descriptive statistics, frequencies, select over your age variable, in the statistics column, ask for the mean, median, and the mode, the standard deviation, and the variance. Okay? Now let's do the rest of the variables for this first problem. Up to analyze, descriptive statistics, back to frequencies. Okay, we'll ask it to reset because we've already done question 1. Now I'm going to bring over question 2, question 3, the text file, and question 1.3. Now, I don't want the statistics, the mean, median, the mode, and standard deviation and variance, because this is categorical data, and so a mean isn't going to mean anything, pardon the pun. Okay, so what I want instead is I want to look at histograms, okay, or bar charts. Let's go ahead and look at bar charts, okay? Let's look at bar charts and figure out how many of each type of response we've got. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and hit paste again. Okay, so this is question, the second half of question 2, second half of question 1. Now I'm going to go in and do the analysis for question 2. I'm going to ask it to reset again. Okay, now I'm going to pull over Q23, 33, 42, 15, 16, and 17. Okay, again, I'm going to ask the charts because these are all categorical data, yes, no, sometimes, etc. So I'm going to ask for bar charts again. And I'm going to paste that into my syntax file. And now I can skip question 3 for now because that's about writing, okay? And then my last one is compute means and standard deviations for variables Q31 and Q36 and compute their correlation and include the test of the significance of the correlation coefficient. Okay, so we go up to Analyze, to Correlate, bivariate, which means 2 variables. Okay. We're going to reset. I'm done here to question 31 and 36. Okay. In my Options tab, I have a selection for means and standard deviations, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. Okay. And I have a test of the significance, and just keep it at one-tailed, that's fine. Okay, and then do the paste. Okay, and then we're done. Now what I would suggest you do at this point is to come up here to File and save this as your syntax file for the first project. If you follow these instructions on how to set up this file, you've done the analysis part correctly, and all you have to do by the 19th of February is to write it up properly. So if you save this and you have the original data file, you can reproduce the output. Okay, so once we've produced the output, once we're finished with the syntax file, we highlight all of this and hit run. Okay, this little arrow up here is run. Okay, and here our data is. Okay, so here's our age. Okay, this is our mean and standard deviation. My sample has a mean age of 21.05, okay, and a standard deviation of 5.56, looks like, once you round, okay. This is the frequency table for age. We don't have to pay attention to this because we're just going to report the mean and standard deviation, okay. But here it gives you your frequency as well as percent male and female, okay. So this is the information that you want to use when you're writing up the results about the gender, okay. Likewise, this is ethnicity. This tells you that 85.5% of your sample is Caucasian, 7.6% is African American. These are the numbers that you want to put into that section. Okay, this is how many, in questions like this, what's your ethnicity, there's usually a text box option for people to write in responses that aren't reflected in the options, and so here those options are Irish, mixed, and Pacific Islander. Here we've got roughly 43% of our sample is freshmen, okay, We have actually a couple of faculty members, which is great. And then here, these next bar graphs reproduce all of this information. Okay, so here's a bar graph of gender. Okay, here's a bar graph of the ethnic breakdown. Here's a bar graph of the types of additional ethnicities. Here's year in school. We can see it's really heavily freshmen, etc. Okay, now here are the answers to the recycling questions. So we can see we've got a pretty good range. Did you recycle at a regular basis at home? You know, about 60% of the sample said yes, about 40% of the sample said no, etc. So these are the information, this is the information that you need for that. Okay, let's get down to the correlation. Here we have a correlation table. Okay, now remember that a correlation is the degree of relationship between at least two continuous variables. Okay, so here we have the relationship between belief that the ecological crisis is kind of false and this belief that if we don't change what we're doing, we're going to be in big trouble. So we'd expect these to be negatively correlated, which means that the more you agree with one statement, the less you agree with the other. And in fact, that is what we have found here. So this relationship is negative. The relationship between responses to these two questions is negative. And this is the test of significance. Okay? So as long as you're at this point and you try to put some of the information in the written report that's due on the 19th, and you bring that to our next class period, you'll get partial credit for the assignment. Remember, the main assignment is due on the 19th, but you do get some of those points the next time that we meet. Okay? If you have questions about this, please come to see me.